Welcome to the VBToolbox. In this beginner tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to start, stop, and kill Windows processes. Very similar to what you see, actually exactly identical to what you see in the Windows Task Manager. We'll be able to launch our own applications as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to create a new project. I'm just going to name my project Processes. You can call yours whatever you like. Make sure it's a Windows Forms application, then you can select OK when you're done. And that will generate your project template. And from here, I am just going to add a few common controls to my form. So if you look in your toolbox and find the command button, there we go, button right there, and just click on that and click on your form to drop her on there. And for the text of the button, I'm going to use this button to start a new process or open an application. So we're going to start by just changing the text property. If you go down below your Solution Explorer in your Properties dialog, I'm just going to change it to Start Notepad. We'll be using Notepad since most Windows machines have that, and we can try some other things as well toward the end of the tutorial once we're comfortable with this. This is just for a simple example. So we can call this button, if you go to the name property, we can change it to CMD. I usually use that for command. And I'll just say CMD start. Let's go ahead and grab a couple more buttons just to be prepared. I can do those the same way. And this one I'm going to call, in the name property, I'm just going to set that to CMD close. And for my text property, I'm going to change the text on the button to close Notepad. Oh. If it doesn't fit, just stretch it out a little bit until it does. And one more button. Oops. I'm making a mess here. All right. I'm going to change the text property on this one to be kill Notepad. And I'll explain the difference between the two as we go along. And I'm just going to call this one CMD kill. Closing an application versus killing the application can have different impacts on the behavior of the application. So now that we have those set, if you will double click on your main form or press F7 to go into the code editor, we can begin coding our application. And to access Windows processes and launch applications from our application, we want to import, I always do that, we want to use imports and bring in the system.diagnostics namespace. So I'll say system.diagnostics, and this will give us access to those system processes. All right. So the first thing we will do is create a very simple subroutine here to actually open an application of our choice. So I'm going to set up a private sub, and I'm going to call it Start Notepad. Okay. This is very basic, very simple, and this is just going to be a simple one-liner. So I'm going to just call the process from the system diagnostics. I'm going to call process dot start, and in the start method parameters, we need to specify the file name that we want to start. This can be a full path to a file, or you can call directly either from your application directory, or if your application has been set up with a system variable or is in the Windows directory, I think you can call them directly, such as Notepad. Should be in your Windows directory in pretty much any Windows machine. So I'm just going to call Notepad start.exe. That is the file name of the application that we want to start. And what we'll do is we'll assign the start notepad function or sub to our command button. By double clicking on the button, it'll generate our click event. And what we can do here is just call start notepad. And if we did this correctly, we should be able to actually run our application. And of course, my OS starts on my other monitor. Now, if we click this Notepad button, it should actually open Windows Notepad. So that's pretty nice. You could also assign this a value, depending on what your web browser is. I'm not going to save that document. We could also do something else that is set up in the Windows directory, such as your favorite web browser. I think web browsers are generally set up this way. If they're registered, you shouldn't even need to provide a path to it. Just call the name. I use Firefox. If you use Chrome, I think it's just chrome.exe. So I should be able to start that. And it should bring up my web browser. Look at that. Awesome. So that's essentially how you can launch programs from your application. You could set up a whole bunch of shortcuts, sort of a little command center type application if you wanted. That's always a fun little project to do. But what if we want to actually close or kill an application that's running on our computer? Well, we have two different methods to select from. We can use the CloseMainWindow if it is a windowed application, or if it's a background process, we can use kill. Now, both of the kill will actually work on either one, but may have unintended consequences. So let's go ahead and start out. I'm going to go ahead and just generate my close notepad click event here for this button. And then we'll come up here and create another sub. I'm going to do another private sub. And I'm going to call this one Close Notepad. Now, to close them, what we need to do is loop through the available processes. As you can see, when you open the task manager, we have a whole lot of processes here to look at. And as you've seen, Notepad could be opened multiple times. I'm going to go ahead and just launch a few of these real quick using our little app here. Whoops, forgot I still have it on my web browser. Actually, yeah, I want to kind of keep Whoops. Sorry, I gotta stop that first. Okay. Getting ahead of myself here. I'm going to go ahead and open a few Notepad instances here. Now, if we look in the task manager, we should be able to see all three of these instances of Notepad. Yeah, here they are right here. Notepad, Notepad, Notepad. So, if I wanted to close this out, using the CloseMainWindow method on the process, we can close one of these out, but we're going to have to loop through all of those processes to first find that process and then close it. So we're going to start with a for each loop, and we're going to say P as a process in process dot get processes by name, and then we want to only find the processes that are named Notepad, and you don't have to specify the exe at the end like we did when we were actually calling it. This isn't a path, it's just the actual name of the process that's running. So at the end there, click enter to generate your loop. And once we have this, all we have to do is say p.CloseMainWindow. Now, the way that this is different from actually killing the process, if you've ever used the Windows Task Manager, you know that you can right-click on a process and end the process or end the process tree. That'll actually, I think that pretty much just kills the process. And what happens when you kill a process as opposed to closing its main window is that many applications have a shutdown event that causes certain things to occur. Some programs create a lot of temp files on your hard drive, and if they're killed, it never has a chance to actually delete those or clean up after itself. Whereas if you just close the main window or launch this command from the application, it has a chance to go through all of its shutdown events and clean up after itself. So that's just one example. Other programs, when you shut down, they may save settings that you've changed in the application. And if you kill an application such as Firefox, it thinks that it's crashed and it'll try to recover when you start it back up. So if you kill like 3 windows of Firefox at once, you go to open Firefox the next time and all those windows pop back up to where they were before. So because it needs to go through its cleanup phase when it shuts down, and this does it gracefully. Now there is one limitation to this in that the CloseMainWindow, when you loop through it, as soon as it closes the first instance that it finds, it's going to stop this loop. I'm not sure exactly what the reasoning is behind that. So if we launch, actually we need to assign this first 2-hour click event here. So I'm just going to say close Notepad. And I'm going to launch a few of those. So you can see we actually have 2 of them open here. Now if I click close, wow, make a liar out of me, I can see. I wonder if it's just because maybe the reason behind it is there's really no cleanup processes that are occurring here, so it actually has time to kill them all. But in my previous experiments, that did not work properly. So I'm just kind of curious now. Let's do this. And I'm pretty sure this guy has a lot of shutdown cleanup stuff that it does, freeing up memory. It's gonna drive me crazy. Let's go ahead and kill a bunch of these, or start a bunch of them. Alright, so let's see what happens when I close it. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't losing my mind. These ones really don't have enough time to finish all their cleanups before the loop runs through and exits, so they don't all just die automatically the way we want them to. So what we can do to get around that is close them all using a do until loop. So we'll say do until process dot get processes by name Firefox, and then we're going to call its count method -1, and that'll create a do loop. Let's just move this inside of that do loop and then cut it and paste it in there. And now because this is the count is always it's not zero based like the actual indexes are. We're going to loop through all of these until there is nothing left in that. Or actually what we could do is just say if the count is less than 1, essentially 0 or fewer, then you can bail out of the loop. So that's probably a little cleaner. Now let's try this. See, I was going to use Notepad as my example. I didn't realize how smooth that would run. But you might, in the real world, you're probably going to run into more applications that you're trying to close that need to go through shutdown routines. But this should close them all. See, it's just going to keep looping until all those are cleaned up. So that's the clean, using the close main window is the clean and graceful way to close out of an application. It's the same as hitting your X button in your application or going to File and Close. But what if the process that we want to kill doesn't have a window? Or it just doesn't accept, have any closing events to worry about? Well, that's what we can use the kill process method with. So let's go ahead and add one more sub here. Staying consistent, even though we're not really using Notepad. I'm going to go ahead and change these back. Figures the app I chose to run the demonstration with would work fine, but it's best to be consistent, right? Those are the little things you're like, well, why didn't that work later on? It worked in the tutorial. So let's go ahead and use the kill. Now the kill switch does not worry about waiting for shutdown events, so it just kicks that process right off if it's able to. So we don't need to worry about this do loop. Instead, we can just pretty much just copy this for each loop and paste it down here. But instead of p.CloseMainWindow, we want to use p.kill and for our process. And then after we kill the process, we want to make sure that Windows frees up that memory. So we'll use the close method after we're done. As you can see, it says freeze all the resources that are associated with the components. So once you kill something, make sure you close it out so there's no, nothing just hanging in memory, taking up your RAM. All right, and let's go ahead and assign that to our final button. We'll just say kill Notepad. And I'm going to put that in my click event, calling this sub. I'll launch a few of these. Oh my goodness, I have an application that's spawning windows and I need to kill them all quickly. Boom, there they all go. So just remember, it's okay to kill processes generally. It's the same as when you do it from the task manager, but a lot of programs do have shutdown routines and they might not save system settings that have been changed during your session or clean up after themselves. You might get a temp directory that's full of trash after a while. So just keep those things in mind when you're using when you're trying to kill applications. Now just I ain't gonna worry about that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in this tutorial. However, if you want to stick around, we can actually generate a list of processes, which is kind of neat, I guess. And we'll just do a little bit of playing around here if you want to just follow along. I didn't actually plan for this, and I should just kill the tutorial now, but yeah, maybe we'll learn a little more here. So I want to find a list box. And I'm going to name that list box LBX processes. And I want to go, I'm going to hit F7, go in here, and I want to find my form events because I want to find the shown event. I like to use that more than the form.load event. And I think I'm going to actually create another sub here. Excuse me. I'm going to call that private sub load processes. And first thing I will do is I will clear out anything that's existing in the list box. So let's say lbx processes dot items dot clear, and that will dump anything that's already in there so they don't duplicate every time I run this sub. And then I will say, actually I'm just gonna copy this guy here, bring it down here, and I'm going to get rid of this get processes by name, and I'm just going to get all the processes. And inside here, so I'm going to loop through all the processes instead of just filtering it by a specific process name. I will say lbx. Oh, actually, let's do an if statement. We'll say if not, lbx processes dot contains p dot process name. I want to get the then. Oh, I think we need to use the items. There we go. If not, list box processes dot items dot contains. So it's going to search the box before it adds anything. If it doesn't find the process name already in there, and the reason I'm doing this is because, let me show you in the task manager. See all these system processes that are duplicated in your task manager? Don't really care for that. It's like, okay, we know that, you know, there's a whole bunch. Sure, they're all associated with different things, but you know, if we're creating a sort of a task manager application, we don't need to see every duplicate in there. So I'm just eliminating duplicates. I'm saying, you know, check the list box first. If you don't find it, go ahead and try adding it. So we'll say lbx dot processes dot items dot add p dot process name. And let me see, let me think, is that everything? Let's just try it out. I'm gonna go ahead and load processes. I'm gonna put that in my form1 shown event. Look at that. Okay, they're all sort of jumbled up. So let's do another little fun thing. Back to the load processes. I'm going to go down below here, and I will, at the end of this, I'm going to say lbx.processes sorted equals true. So we can sort our list box alphabetically. Check that out. So we've sort of just created a little process explorer. Now, if you wanted to take this a bit further, you could make it so you could select multiple items and add them to another box to filter, and then you could check that box whenever you're searching so you could ignore stuff that you didn't want to see, like system processes, things like that. You could make it filter those out, and then you could have a multi-select on here, and you could hit your kill button and it would, you know, kill multiple processes at once. So you could do a lot of different things. It's pretty handy stuff, but it's nice to be able to actually launch other programs. Now what if we weren't using a relative path? Let's do one last experiment before we call quits here. I am just going to explore here real quick, check out my program files folder, and I want to find GIMP, photo editor. And okay, so here is the executable file. This launches the application. It's in my SQL and program files folder. And so I will say, I just want to grab the path here. I'm going to down arrow. I don't want to click on it or it'll open it. I'm just going to copy that. Control C. And put in my process start that full path. I'm going to Control V after I Control C on there. And we'll just see if that opens up GIMP successfully. Run my program. So that's how, if your application is not either in your debug folder, for your program, or in your Windows. Oh, sorry, I got cut off there. Like I was saying, if it's not in your Windows folder or doesn't have some sort of system variable pointing to it, then it probably won't launch without having the full path. So just keep that in mind. Looks like it did launch for me, and everything looks good. So that's essentially just how you start, stop, and kill processes in Windows with your application. I hope this has been helpful for you. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this. So try it out and have some fun. All right. I hope this was helpful. I wish you all luck on your projects, and I will catch you on the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.